Let's welcome Kathy Holly and Spotlight.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be back with Spotlight. And tonight I have a fabulous guest. It is such a pleasure and actually a privilege to be here with Mr. Geoffrey Grier from the San Francisco Recovery Theater.
That's right.
Geoffrey, tell me, where are you from originally?
Originally, I'm from Detroit, but I'm a transplant like so many other people in the Bay Area. I came here about 45 years ago and went to school and just became a member of the Bay Area community.
How wonderful. Where did you end up going to school?
Went to San Francisco State.
Great school.
And it was really great to be just right there in the community and being a part of the San Francisco experience during that period of time.
I'm trying to think of that period of time. Let's see. Math was not my favorite subject.
Well, let's just say the 70s. We'll
the
go
70s,
there.
yes,
We'll go
coming
the 70s.
out of the 60s, right? Okay, well, that's close enough. And was your major theater? How did you end up?
My minor was actually theater, but my major was psychology. And I was always vacillating between, I don't know, I had this desire I was going to save the world, but at the same time I had a creative spirit. And I couldn't let the two go. And for years I was floundering around. I don't know, what am I going to do? Should I do this? Should I do that? And it was like an epiphany. All of a sudden it came to me. Oh yeah, I'll do theater. And we did this theater company. It was a friend of mine. We started, trying to put together plays, but none of the actors could show up.
Oh,
nobody
dear.
could come to rehearsal, and we couldn't figure out why. And it was because it was the 70s, and everybody was busy getting loaded all night long, and nobody showed up for rehearsal.
So where did you have your auditions?
We had our auditions everywhere. San Francisco, we had in the East Bay. Our first show was actually in Oakland.
In Oakland. So is this a black repertory theater, would you say? Tell me about that,
okay,
how it started.
We kind of looked at it from the black perspective. We wanted to have the black experience. The 70s was kind of like post-60s, and we still had black arts movement icons, Amiri Baraka. We had, Nataka Shazanj, and, all of these people that were just epitomes. And theater, it became critical to kind of to carry that message on forward. We have a saying, it's like black history is world history. We're all a part of this greater piece. And we felt that it was necessary to incorporate and utilize everybody that was around us, but we wanted people to put on some black glasses, look at it through the lens of the African American experience. So
Great.
We've continued to reach out to everybody that's all in a marginalized living situation, whether white, black, Asian, Latino. Everybody is being compromised in one way or another.
So that brings me to where you are now, because it's called the Recovery Theater. Obviously, I looked at your website, and everybody has to look at your website, I think, after this show.
Oh, they will.
And I went through all of your bio, and
Yes.
I didn't have time to read everything because I was rushing today.
Yeah.
So, tell me a little more about your bio with all this. Did you have theater did you act in plays too?
Yes, I have, and I've got to go back to my resume. I've got a pretty long resume. I did a lot of stuff with community theater. Like many other people that are in the arts, I figured, I'll strike it rich in about 2 years. I'll be at the top,
Community theater, no.
But once I became familiar with community theater, my sister, well, I call her my sister. She's my theater sister over in the East Bay, Ayodele Nzinga. She's fantastic.
What's her name?
Ayodele Nzinga.
Oh my goodness, great name.
She's the director of the Lower Bottom Players. And we always played together, me, the two of us were always just we had always chemistry on stage.
So that was original pieces that you were doing then?
We did original and we did classic pieces. We did James Baldwin, we did August Wilson,
Great.
we did a take on Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice, you know.
Great.
Just,
Yes.
reconverted it to be, you know, more community oriented. The whole goal was to be able to use the arts and the craft to tell our story.
And all inclusive.
All inclusive.
That's what it's about.
All
I think.
inclusive.
Yeah.
What you asked me about recovery theater, well, I
Yes.
kind of go back to the beginning when all the actors would not show up. And I was like sitting there, I was tearing well, you can see I tore all my hair out. But
You tore it all out.
you know, and
I like the look.
What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I said, you know what? I need to get these guys into recovery. I know. We'll call it recovery theater. That was the light bulb that went off. And
Yes.
so
you do plays,
we do plays.
and some of them are originals, or do you still do some classics?
We do originals and we do classics, and I partner with people all over the Bay Area that, you know, are familiar with our mission and we can mesh with. But
Fantastic.
primarily, we've got two original pieces. One is called The Spot, that was written by me. It was deemed probably the longest running African American play in Northern California dealing with a recovery component.
Oh, I love that.
Yes, it ran for years. We did at least 5 years.
And where did it run again?
We
Because I
ran
never
Lorraine
heard it.
Hansberry. We ran at
at the
the
Hansberry
Gulf
Theater.
Street Theater. We ran at the African American Cultural Center over on Fulton Street.
Great.
We went down to Los Angeles, played the Santa Monica Promenade. We were all over the Bay Area.
And so now, to get back to the actors themselves and actresses, do they come? Are they people who are in recovery? You said nobody would show up for rehearsals.
Well, that was in the very beginning, and because I mean, like I said, it was the '70s, it was the early '70s. Everybody was coming back from the disco, and they're just like,
And,
12.
what are we going to do?
Yeah,
Theater.
they're
Except I
12.
would think the theater department at SF State would have helped in some way, but
Well,
not necessarily.
I don't think they weren't prepared. They just
Okay.
weren't really
They weren't into that
prepared,
yet.
and I think there was still some cultural dissonance. If that's
Yes.
the
Yes.
proper word.
Yes.
And yeah, it really became incumbent upon us, and that's what kind of
Yes.
bit me as far as the community theater. Community theater became an absolute love for me. It became critical. I am married to community theater because it is people. It is a theater of the people, and where we are now, we will take a theater project to the people. We'll go into the SRO hotels in the Tenderloin. We'll go into
Right.
some of the places where people. We did a show over in Marin City, and later, I was told they'd never ever had a live performance.
Oh
ever.
my gosh!
If
That's
you can think of that.
amazing. That's terrible.
You know, and so
that's not theater when you don't have a live performance.
that's what I'm
right?
saying. And so we
amazing.
realized that became more critical. It was critical for us.
Right, to do this. And now you've taken your theater to the Tenderloin.
Yes,
correct?
we call it Ground Zero.
Well, do you have a place, an actual theater?
Well, much
or
like
not?
many of the people in the Tenderloin, we too are homeless.
You're homeless,
But
okay. But you work out of what?
We work out of various places. The Cadillac Hotel has always been very good to us as far as like a
Wonderful.
rehearsal space and show venue.
You can do shows there.
We
Where is
are,
it? I'm sorry.
The Cadillac is on Eddy Street, right there at Leavenworth. Eddie and Leavenworth.
Oh, yes, Eddie and Leavenworth. I
There's a
know it
corner
well.
there. There's a Tenderloin Museum, and then right next to it is the Cadillac
oh, yes,
Hotel.
That's great.
Cadillac Hotel was
Perfect.
started with Kathy Looper and Leroy Looper. And they are like icons of the Tenderloin. Leroy is very, very famous as far as the community goes. That hotel was once a boxing gym, Newman's Boxing Gym.
Yes, Newman's,
Everybody
right.
went through there, and so there's a lot of history.
A lot of history. And this is so important for people out there to know about because there is a Tenderloin Museum.
Yes.
I remember walking by it, and I had done a walk with the night ministry.
Oh, yeah.
I did 2 walks with them, and I did a fundraiser for the night ministry. And one of the night minister, who was so well known, had a movie about actually the night ministry, independent film, and they were showing it at the Tenderloin Museum. And I said, oh my goodness, I never knew there existed a Tenderloin Museum. And I gather it is open occasionally to
it's
the public.
open. It's open almost every day.
Well, see, that's great.
Just go on. We played there. We played there several
that'd
times.
be a perfect venue.
Yeah.
Perfect venue. So now you are at the Cadillac Hotel. I happen to have, well, I know you do other kinds of shows.
We did. We also there's the Piano Fight. We're a resident theater company with Piano Fight, which is,
I know that
by the way,
the old original show.
Exactly. Look,
I used to work there.
I'm so glad I know somebody that remembers.
I know the owners. I used to work there in music because I'm a singer, you know, and I did cabaret shows there. And I know the Piano Fight. So when you do a variety show, that's part also of the Recovery Theater, I think, right?
Yes, it is.
And now, how do you get the word out through the Tenderloin for people? Do people come in and audition for your shows now who live in the Tenderloin, or do you get
Well, we've
involved
opened it up, and we have a lot of the people that are performing with me either lived in the Tenderloin at one point, and as we get into it later, some of the performers have been with me for years, 10 years, 15 years. So their life has evolved. They've changed. They've moved. They've gotten out of the Tenderloin. They're living their life, but we still work, and we still consider that to be ground zero. There's people that have heard about us. They've come to our shows. People have been referred to us.
That's great.
And it's always, one of the things about the Tenderloin is always looked at as a transitory lifestyle.
Yes.
And so people kind of go into it looking like everything is temporary. It's not going to be there for long. Well, we're probably one of the longest running institutions in the Tenderloin, and we represent stability.
This is wonderful.
So people like to come to our shows. They look forward to seeing us or hearing about us. So a lot of it is word of mouth. Put a lot of stuff out online, on Facebook, and there, the managers in the hotel.
Facebook, then people go to Facebook if you want to know more about the performances. And I happen to have some footage of a performance that you did at the Cadillac Hotel.
Yes.
And let's take a look at your introduction in this. This is a variety, I would say, like a cabaret show.
This is kind of a cabaret variety show that we put together. It's actually what I consider a long-running and ongoing jazz bopera, dedicated and built on the Black Hawk Jazz Club and everything that existed in the shadow of that. And we call it, kind of after Miles Davis's piece, Night at the Black Hawk.
All right, let's take a look at Geoffrey and doing a show.
How's everybody? Okay, we're going to try to do this because, as always, in the compromised lifestyle in which we find ourselves, there's never enough time, is there? Never enough time. Well, we here at Recovery Theater deal with things as they are. And we need to level the playing field first, so I'm going to cut to the chase. Is there any crackheads in the audience tonight? Any crack in or out of recovery? Any crackheads? Thank you, baby. That's okay. That's okay. Any heroin addicts? Anybody? So nobody in the Tenderloin in this hotel has had anything to do with heroin at any time in their life. Anybody had anything to do with speed? Thank you, sir. Anybody had anything to do with weed? Any weed smokers? Oh, I figured, okay. We got some weed smokers. Any drinkers? Alcoholics? There we go. Okay, we got some drinkers. How about cigarette smokers? Okay, we got some nicotine addicts. We're getting close. We're getting close. Any sex addicts? Anybody hooked on not having any sex? Anybody hooked on TV? How about shopping? Coffee, vitamins, pills, neighbors. Will, how you doing? Money. Anybody hooked on money? I got one for you. Anybody hooked on anger? Thank you. Anger. Anybody hooked on jail, the penitentiary, penal system? Well, whether you raised a hand or not, you can look to the right and look to the left because you're in good company. You're in good company. We're all dealing with an ism of one sort or another. Recovery is nothing more than change. That's all it is. It's just change. So with that, let's take a look at the neighborhood in which we live, right? It's called the Tenderloin. This place is golden. There's a lot of history here. I'm going to take my glasses off so I can refer to my notes, because those of us in advanced age.
I love it. I think it's so inclusive. It's just great. Great. And I know one of the singers and actors in your group, Eric Ward.
Yes.
He wasn't able to come tonight.
No, he got whisked away by his significant other.
Well, that happens sometimes. And I was looking at his performance. By the way, I should mention that our mutual friend Dave Austin and his trio is playing in these videos.
Dave
Backing,
Austin
right?
and Trio to Swing always
Oh,
as our
that's
background. They're with us all the time. In fact, they'll be. We're in the process of putting together a CD.
Fantastic.
And
This
Dave
is wonderful.
Austin and Trio to Swing will be the musical team behind that.
Of course,
so.
and he's just great. I've worked with him so many times. All right, we're going to take a look at now Eric.
Yes,
who is
Eric
part of.
Ward.
All right, he does a little teaser. He sings part of a song, and it's just for fun to get everybody interested. Let's take a look. Eric Ward.
They were fighting about. She was a cute little thing. Looked like you. They say, Ruby, you're like a dream, not quite what you seem. Though my heart may break when I awake, let it be so. I only know, Ruby, it's you. Just a few bars, more later.
Well, that's great. Everybody stayed, obviously. They want to see the show.
Oh, yes.
And I noticed in this video you had another good friend of mine, Helen.
Yes, Helen Marie Thomas.
I know, I call her Helen from the Hellcats because she told me ages ago she started, had her own girl group. So I always tease her about that. And then, of course, we have someone else, Ben Bacot, who couldn't make it tonight, and he was originally. But then Eric comes back into the show, and he does, what he calls one of his favorite, a tribute to one of his favorite singers, Frank Sinatra. I mean, he seems to really like Frank, I guess.
He is, apparently, he has been fixated on Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and the whole Rat Pack for decades. That has been his aspiration. And we always introduce him, some of us are culturally compromised. So we like to meet people where they are.
I think it's wonderful. Well, everybody has done all those wonderful tunes out of that era. I mean,
Well, he's fantastic. He's done
Nat King Cole. I could just think of all these greats. I just sold my jazz collection of records.
Too bad.
Records.
Yeah.
Well, I never played them. And I said, someone's got to enjoy them. So I sold them. But anyway, all those great tunes, from the 40s, the 50s. Yeah. That's what you're doing here.
Well,
really,
our whole piece, the Black Hawk Jazz Club, existed from 1946 to 1964.
For those who don't know it, this was in San Francisco.
San Francisco, right down there on Hyde and Turk.
Wow.
Now
right
there's there's a parking lot there.
Oh, yes.
That's where the Black Hawk used to exist. And it was the place to be. It was the artist hangout. Everybody got their start there. San Francisco's favorite son, Johnny Mathis, was discovered there. The Modern Jazz Quartet was there.
Oh, right.
The Latin Jazz movement actually got started there. Cal Tjader, Mongo Santa Marita came through there. It was fantastic. Another little bit of information about the Black Hawk was that the police were constantly trying to shut it down because the kids were standing around smoking that monkey dust and listening to the devil music, and they were trying to figure out, well, what are we going to do?
Oh my gosh, if that was the devil music, I can't Now I'm really into the devil music.
Well, they were trying to figure out what are they going to do.
Yeah, what are they going to
The
do?
Black Hawk put chicken wire down the middle of their club. Thereby, the kids could watch and drink their sodas, and the adults could be on the other side acting up. Problem solved, San Francisco style.
And that's perfect because children could be exposed to good music.
Yes.
And the parents could enjoy. Well, let's take a listen to Eric singing one of Frank's and Dean's
Classics.
songs. Yeah, classic.
I get no kick from champagne. Beer alcohol doesn't thrill me at all, so tell me, why should it be true that I get a kick out of you? Let me tell you, some folks get their kicks from that cocaine. Tell you that if I took even one sniff, it would bore me terrifically too. But I get a kick out of you. I get a kick every time I see you standing there before me. I get a kick, even though it's very clear that you obviously, oh baby, do not adore me. I get no kick up in a plane, flying real high with some gal in the sky. Ain't my idea of something to do. But I get a kick out of you. Play something pretty.
Wow, I love it. That
Yes.
is so great. Now, tell me, does the Cadillac Hotel open their lounge to other people that just want to come in?
Yes, they do a lunchtime jazz series. It's once a month, and usually it's on a Friday at lunchtime. It's only for about an hour, and they have a variety of musicians that come in and perform.
Wonderful. Do they ever do nighttime shows?
Every now and then, if they get a bigger act or it's something special, but usually it's lunchtime, and it was initiated by Kathy and particularly Leroy because he wanted the people of the hotel and the people who live in the SRO community to have an opportunity to participate in the jazz experience and the music experience, because oftentimes theater and performance is out of reach.
Right.
There's a drink minimum, there's a cost,
That's
there's
right.
dress code, there's all kinds of
There's all
things.
kinds
And
of
so,
things, yeah.
we kind of follow that same path as far as making sure that we're accessible to the community. We make sure if we do a show at Piano Fights, we always put it out to the hotel. Anybody that's living in the residence can come in at no charge or pay what you can.
Pay what you can.
And
right.
so we try to make sure that that's a piece of our production, because we don't, for those in the theater, we don't see the fourth wall.
That's right.
There's no difference between the audience and the player. We're all here together.
And well, so I have to ask you, there's a beautiful piano in this video.
Yes.
Is that part of the hotel?
That's the hotels. That was
That's
donated
beautiful.
by Kathy Walkup.
Oh yes,
That
I know.
is a.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember
Kathy Walkup.
the year. It's over 100 years old.
It's a beautiful
That
looking
is-
piano.
Yes, it's a
That's
classic work.
fantastic. Now, so this show that we're seeing, of course, was done during the day.
Yes.
This was during the day, all right. And today was supposed to be, was a show that's changed, like I said, cast, and this is great you're here. Ben Bacot was going to be here
Yes.
too. So it would be great if we can see that he's part of the show.
He was part of this
was
show
part of
that
the
we
same
did,
show.
and he's always
So-
with us ongoing.
Well, let's see Ben, who is a wonderful singer, Bass of the Bay.
Bass
and
of the
when you hear his
Bay.
voice, you'll know why we say that.
Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. I keep forgetting to remove this. I'm on my lunch break, but I'd rather come spend it with you guys than to be sitting in some cheap restaurant somewhere down in the financial district. So we're taking a trip down memory lane, right? So I want you guys to remember some of the greatest singers of the century. So my songs are going to be by vocalists, and hope will remind you of vocalists, some of the greatest vocalists that you've ever heard before in your life. And hopefully one day I'll be included in that group. Mr. Austin. Unforgettable, that's what you are. Unforgettable, though near or far. Like a song of love that clings to me, how the thought of you does things to me never before has someone been more unforgettable in every way, and forevermore that's how you'll stay. That's why, darling, it's incredible that someone so unforgettable thinks that I am unforgettable too.
Well, I feel like he's here.
Yeah, you get lost in the song.
Oh, it's absolutely great. Now, Geoffrey, when is the next show?
Our next show will be, well, we're going to actually play the Larkin Street Fair this Sunday, April 14th. We'll be there from 3 to 5.
Okay.
Our next show, our full show, where you'll see everybody, will be at Piano Fight on May 4th. That's a Saturday.
Yes.
It's a late night show from 10 to 12. That happens to be my mother's birthday.
Oh,
we'll
great.
be doing that
Well,
in
it's perfect.
memory.
Perfect memory.
Yes.
Will it be trip down memory lane? The same.
Well, we'll have
you know.
some memories, but I think we got some, it's kind of close to Mother's Day, too. So we'll kind of throw a few things in there.
Oh, good. That's wonderful. And you'll have different singers. So this is terrific. Well, it's been great having you on the show. I noticed they're showing my credits now. That's very exciting. And anybody who wants to know more about the San Francisco Recovery Theater, go to Facebook.
I would go to Facebook and look up San Francisco Recovery Theater, and
right.
theaters Theatre.
Right.
And I noticed on your thing you were showing www.sfrecoverytheater.org is what it should be.
Oh, my mistake.
sfrecoverytheater.org, and they'll find it.
All right,
but just Google
take
us.
a look at that, and then I know your website is great because you have everything. So I hope you can come back again.
Absolutely.
Oh, and
would love to. We only scratched the
more
surface.
about this. I know. There's so much to talk about. I have so many questions. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And if you want to be on my show, you know where to contact the station or kathyholly.com. Good night.
Hey mambo, mambo Italiano. Hey mambo, mambo Italiano. Go, 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 you mixed up Siciliano.